And hello, folks. This is your old pal, Uncle Al. This is part four of ah, check this off. Part four of How to Survive, How to Be a Survivor by Robert Heinlein, 1945, or The Art of Staying Alive in the Atomic Age. Let's see. It is not possible to tell exactly what to do to prepare yourself best to survive. Even if this was a book instead of a short article, for the details must depend on the nature of the countryside you must rely on. In other words, if I see a lot of prepper channels, they have everybody on the East Coast on the east side of the 100th meridian. And this guy, Robert Hyland, already talked about this 80 years ago. Okay, depending on the nature of the countryside you must rely on. Your opportunities for planning and preparing, the number and ages and sex of your dependents and yourself, and your present skills, talents, and physical conditioning, whether or not you are not present dispersal area of target. Must make plans for dispersal. Okay, if you're in a target area, you leave. All right, let's see. But the principle under which you can make your plans, easiest means determine what can be vindicated. Start out borrowing your son's copy of the Boy Scout manual. I always tell everybody get the ones pre-68. It is a practical book of source of lore that you'll need. If you can't borrow it because he's not a member of the Boy Scouts, send him down at once and make him join. Always a good thing. And make him join. Then you have homestead. Get him too busy on the merit badges like woodcraft, cooking, archery, carpentry. Somebody's going to have to make the fire without matches, and if the rabbit ever be cooked and eaten, so see that he learns how, even from the experts. Then make him teach you, lazy person. Okay, but the whole family gets together and do things like this. All right. Can you fell a tree with an axe? A lot of people can't, and I've seen a lot of people wreck their houses. Okay? That's with axe, a sledgehammer, and wedges. I could do it, but my back's ruined and I can't do it anymore. Okay? Can you trim a stone? In other words, can you flint work? I can't do any more, bad eyesight. Do you know where to dig a cesspool and how deep? That takes skill. All right. Where do you dig a well? Where and how to dig a well? That's a real skill. Hand-drawn well. I've seen people do it. It's dangerous as hell. People don't put casings around it and they get buried alive. So it's a skill you have to learn. I would tell people check out the Townsends. It's a very good channel that explains what's going on. Where and how to dig a well? Can you pull a... God, I hate it when they play the 7th print. Tooth, pulling teeth out. Can you shoot a rifle accurately and economically? I'm not kidding. Ammo's going to be very scarce. So you can't do like on Rambo. Start shooting away at everything that moves. One shot, one kill. Okay? Can you shoot a rifle accurately and economically? Can you spot tularemia? It's a rabbit disease. We are back to the biggest rabbits again. Okay? And cleaning the rabbit. This is why I wear gloves. And I told my nephews you have to spot the rabbit disease. I can't pronounce it, but it's a rabbit disease you're looking under. Do you know the rudiments, basic rudiments of farming? We're not talking gardening, farming. Basic rudiments of gardening, farming. Simple tools. You could build a log or adobe or a rammed earth native stone cabin from the materials at hand and have it weather tight, varmint proof, and reasonably comfortable. Same thing goes with cob houses. But how much time do we have? This is the real clincher that nobody ever reads this article. Written 80 years ago, Robert Heinlein was ahead of his time. But how much time do we have? All we can do is estimate how long before other nations have the atomic bomb. Nobody, one estimates from the men who designed, say, about 2 to 5 years. Dr. Vladimir Bush spoke to 15 years. Well, that was 80 years ago, and we have a whole bunch of people with atomic bombs. Another expert equally distinguished mentioned 5 to 10 years, and that was Major General Leslie Groves. First atomic general thinks it'll be a long time, but with current technology advancing, warns Groves, it could be by the end of the 50s. And he was right. Of course, he was also the first atomic general to die from brain cancer. Okay. Let us settle on the 5-year on reasonable minimum working time. Of course, if another nation unfriendly to us solves the production problems of atomic weapons and delivery system in the length of time, there still not be a war for a number of years, nor would they be necessary for one. However, since we don't know what the world condition will be in 5 to 10 years, let's play it safe. Let's try be ready by 1950s. And he was correct. Okay. All right. I had it in dark print. Maybe you can see that. Okay. I'm getting old and I can't read this fine print that much. 4 to 5 years is none too long to turn a specialized soft city dweller into a generalized hardened pioneer. However, it is likely you find enjoying it. In other words, if you do these things, you probably enjoy it. It's a great pastime. It will be interesting. It will be interesting business and their deep satisfaction learning how to do these things with your own hands, like growing food, fixing the tractor, hunting. First, get that scout manual. Look at the list of merit badges and try to figure out skills that you'll likely need, the ones now have and ones you need to study up on. The manual will lead you in time to look to other books. Now, Ernest Thompson Seton, one of the Boy Scout founders, wrote The Two Little Savages and is full of ideas and suggestions. Presently, you will find there's handbooks of various trades you have not the time to master, but these books which contains you look up emergencies, it's like YouTube to look it up. You can have forethought of buying them, buy the book, tuck it away in your out-of-town base, in other words, your prepper library. These books will show you how to build a fireplace, give exact dimensions of the reflector's throat and ledge, or flume. You may not remember the details, but it's fair and it's easy to figure out. Instead of sitting in a smoke-filled room with an open 55-gallon drum burning wood. Okay? If there's any domestic curse of a smoking pit of a room, I can't recall it unless it's the common cold. That was Heinlein. Okay? There are little handbooks which shows you with color pictures, edible mushrooms, and inedible cousins. I would take a class. It is possible to live quite well practicing on nothing but fungi. Again, I would take a class. Comparatively little work, they exist in abundance and variety. Again, take a class, know your area. Around here, it's like, okay, you're going to die. All right. Now, let's see. You will need a medical reference. Go check out Gil at Patton's Family Compound or Gray Man Prepping with an A. You'll need a medical reference book, Selected Advice of a Wise and Medical Man. Doc Bones. I always like his stuff. Go check him out. And his books on Amazon. Let's see. Tell him why you want it. And besides, the best first aid and nursing instruction you could get will not be much if you're not following through this subject. You will find yourself selecting drugs, equipment, and supplies to store against the darkness. In your base as well, lesser supplies could go into your survival kit or into your automobile. Again, 80 years ago, Robert Hyland wrote this. Now, I do tell people, because depending on your area, some medications are heat sensitive. I live in the desert. We have a wet and cold season. We have burning hot area. Okay? So think about it. And I'm going to try to keep this shorter. To go into your survival kit or into your automobile, which is what goes into a survival kit anyhow. What goes into a survival kit anyhow? You have You have to decide, and don't take any present advice. In any case, by the time you get to it and think quite correctly, you are the best judge. In other words, do your research and judge for yourself, because other places have crappy information and you don't need winter clothes in the middle of the desert. Okay? You are the best judge of the contents of your survival kit. Supplied by aviators in this latest war can be very illuminating. That was World War II. The contents vary greatly depending on climate and nature of the mission, from pemmican to quinine to fish hooks to maps, okay, and heavy winter clothing. So what to put into your cabin? It is more difficult to state definitely. To start with, you might want to get a Sears, a Roebuck, or Montgomery Ward catalog. They didn't have Amazon. They had Sears and they had Montgomery Ward's. Okay, catalog to go through it, item by item, and ask yourself, do I have to really need this? From the list and produces yourself, can I make this item? Can I substitute in a pinch? Which is true. A lot of people tend to forget gadgets does not replace skills. Okay? If you know what you're doing, you don't need the item. Okay? And before we close out, if shoes wears out, can you make yourself moccasins or tire sandals? Also, shoes can be hoarded in preference to any other item of clothing. You are not, unless you are a Superman making an axe, you need an axe. Okay? If you ever try to chop a tree down with a stone axe, it's a cow. Alright? Let's see. You will need certain drugs. You will need certain drugs. Better be liberal here. Salt is difficult to obtain inland. If you're 16 miles away from a coast or from a salt deposit, no, you're not going to get salt. So we'll end at that. All right. think, well, right there, salt is a difficult thing. We got 2 more sections to go. I hope this helps you out. I'll catch you later. I'll be seeing you. And remember, 60 miles away from the coast, you don't have salt. And a lot of things you need salt. And I'll see you later, folks. I'll be seeing you. And you not have a nice day. Do something nice for your neighbors and friends. And for God's sake, I hope you get this article. Try reading it. Do your research. And be helpful. And be cheerful. Because this year is going to be fun. I'll be seeing you. Bye now.